What was a narrative you were listening to strongly that didn't work for you after the last 6 months, realizing it didn't work for you now? What was one or two you held on to?
Yeah. Kind of jumping right back to something I just sort of mentioned, this narrative that any given relationship, just pick one. Any given relationship, it could be with your kid, it could be with your spouse, it could be with a coworker, your boss, whatever, would be different if only that person would fix A, B, and C.
Didn't make me angry here.
I would be happy then.
Right.
Like, that would make life easy. That is all I ever wanted, is for you to be better.
Right.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true, because really, it's still on us what we're going to allow and how we're going to respond.
Right.
And I'm learning so much right now. I don't know how much work you've done around like codependency.
I feel like the last 8 years I've been in an emotional boot camp. Every couple of years I go through something that I then say, okay, like, what's the therapies, the workshops, the coaching, the process that I'm going to take on to continue to peel back the onion, become even more vulnerable, take even deeper ownership and responsibility, and figure out, well, why am I reactive to this? Why do I get angry or resentful or unforgiving in these places? Why does that trigger me? Why does this trigger me? Why? Is it just because it's me, or is there something underneath it?
Yeah.
And I think the last year brought up a lot of that for a lot of people. I started a new relationship a couple years ago. The first year was amazing. The second year, with the pandemic and all these changes of identity and all these things happening, was like, okay, there's a lot of work that I thought I've done a lot of work until now.
Totally.
And it's like been intensive therapy, but not for the relationship, sure, but for each one of us.
Totally.
It's not about the relationship. It's about why am I reactive to that, or they're frustrated with this, or why is she, it's so, which I resist, but then I'm like, well, if I resist it, it's just going to keep coming up in every area of my life until I embrace.
Yeah.
And the embracing is painful.
It's painful. And again, because it's not ever really about that other person.
No.
It's wherever you go, there you are. I
mean,
you
repeat the pattern with the next person over and over.
Of course you do. And in any relational dynamic, it's not only romantic.
Yeah, business, friends, family, everything.
It will repeat.
Yeah.
One thing I'm working on with my therapist right now, and I have a battery of therapists. May they all help me. Some of them are like woo-woo body people, and some of them are like talk therapists, and some are EMDR. I mean, I'm like everybody in the pool. Everybody come in.
Any tool,
any resource, whatever you can help me understand about myself. And so this work of what I'm working on, and this is hard for me, I didn't realize this was hard for me, is I'm incredibly judgmental. And so,
to yourself or others?
Yes.
All. Anything.
Yes.
Anything that's not right or the way it's supposed to be.
Deeply judgmental of myself. So when I have a thing come up, as you said, like, why is this coming up in me? What is this reaction I'm having? What is this? Why did I just spike to like level 100 right now? What is this about? Like, the punishment doesn't fit the crime here.
Right.
I am judgmental of my own response. I'm learning that I prefer status. I prefer stability. I prefer things to be nice,
safe, and protective, and
equilibrium. I like it right here, right around the same equal line, give or take a degree.
Yeah.
So I struggle to let hard things be hard. I struggle to let bad things be bad. I struggle to let sad things be sad. I judge those things. I judge them that hard is bad, sad is bad, mad is bad, just disintegrated is bad, disruptive is bad.
Anything that's uncomfortable for you is bad.
Because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so this work of learning to be less judgmental of the thing that's not good. Good's my favorite.
Yeah.
Good is my favorite.
Right.
Good and happy. That's my favorite space. So anything that's outside of that, rather than say, something's wrong with me, something is wrong in me that I'm feeling this. How can I hurry up and hustle this back to good and happy? But rather non-judgmentally observe it like, why is this coming up in me?
Yeah.
It's not bad, or it has no morality. It's not, it just is what it is. There's something here willing to teach me something if I'll listen, instead of just shove it back into a corner, cover it with a blanket, and pretend like it never happened. And so this is really hard work for me. I mean, I have really practiced the art of compartmentalization, I guess, for 46 years.
Your whole life.
Yeah, so I am good at it. Like, I am really good at it. I can hustle a story into its tidiest version in like half a minute.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I can soften the blow of a really serious letdown quickly and be like, but here's the silver lining. But here's what I've learned. But here's why I'm happy. And so sitting in the discomfort and not judging the discomfort, but rather asking it, you're here for something. Are you trying to protect me? Are you trying to show me something? Are you trying to keep me safe? Are you a warning sign? Because I have learned incredibly deeply that my body, my soul, and my mind have been sending up so many flares for me for the last few years. And I was like, nope.
About what?
All kinds of things. Things that any other normal person would say, this feels like a red flag, relationally, in some family rhythms. Even just as somebody who loves and is observing another person very close to you. Flares. And I'm like, nah, not here, not us, not this. We are outside of that story.
Right. Beyond that.
We're outside of that narrative. And so learning to trust myself again is new. That's new.
Yeah.
My body is one agenda. My body is Team Jen. That's it. No other agenda except to keep me safe and healthy, out of harm and flourishing.
Yeah.
So if my body's telling me something, I ought to listen.
Yeah. You weren't listening.
No.
What were you doing? Just
Judging. Yeah. I was judging those signals. I was judging those instincts flaring up, trying to like get my attention, say something's wrong here. I don't want things to be wrong. I want them to be good and happy.
Yeah.
And so this is all new work for me. It's taken me half my life to get here. And I'm not great at it yet, but I'm learning. I don't know. Do you listen to your own instincts a lot? Have you learned at this point to really trust what it is you are seeing, responding, or hearing?
I listen, I feel, and I notice, but sometimes I don't take action on it.
Right.
So
why? Why not?
My pattern has always been, I don't want to upset someone.
Oh, sure.
People pleasing.
Oh, yeah.
Up until now.
Yeah, relational disruption.
It's been like, well, I'm doing this to make the other person happy. I'm saying this to make the other person happy.
Yes.
I'm not doing this because the other person would be mad if I did this.
Yep.
Which then I'm out of integrity with myself and who I am. So I'm kind of resenting myself, resenting the other person, and resenting the context of the relationship if I don't live my authentic self.
Yeah.
And this is just outside of agreements and boundaries and whatever the relationship is. And that's was my pattern for years up until recently. And it's been, it's extremely painful to do that to yourself. But I was aware of it. It wasn't like I was like, why am I feeling this pain and this nagging thing in my chest and like tension or like my throat closing up or whatever the pain was. It was like, I know exactly why this is, but I never had the courage to actually say what I wanted to say because I was afraid of the response.
So I'm so curious, once you started putting some of that into practice.
Yeah, it's foreign.
How, because I've got a thought here and a thesis, I'm curious if you found that actually served your relationship.
Well, it serves you.
Yeah.
And it will serve the relationship at a greater level if you're being more authentic.
I think so too.
Or that relationship will dissolve if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But you not being you doesn't serve the relationship.
Totally. I was just telling Heather this earlier, that I think when we operate out of that sense of pleasing that person, other people all the time, that's our general operating system.
And would you say most women come from that place, or is that too general?
You know, it is general, but I don't find it too unfair. We were conditioned to keep the temperature in the room stable at all times, whatever room we're in.
Yeah.
We are the temperature stabilizers.
I feel like that's how I've been up until now as well, too.
But my sense of it is, I mean, having now also really, I'm pressing into this as well, is that ultimately, and maybe not at first, because the truth is, living authentically like that, especially inside of a relationship where you have been trying to keep the peace when you
Yes.
have no peace.
That's been me my entire life.
Initially, it does create relational disruption.
Oh, of course.
It does.
Of course.
It does.
'Cause things are
However,
changing.
well, yeah, I mean,
They don't like that.
who does? Yeah, you've been keeping some little world tended
Yeah.
that they like that how it is.
course.
And so I do think there is a courage required for that initial stage, but my thesis is that ultimately if that relationship is healthy and cohesive and collaborative and stable, that it ultimately serves the relationship. That person, we're actually robbing our best people of who we are.
Of course.
We're robbing them
Yeah.
of what we are
And
thinking.
ourselves.
We're robbing ourselves. We are not telling the truth. We are out of alignment, which for me, when I'm out of alignment, when I am not living in integrity, when I'm saying one thing but thinking another, when I'm saying yes and I mean no, it comes out sideways. It comes out in my body language. It comes out, I'm resentful. I'm pissed. It means I'm always idling high and the teeniest little thing and I'm just through the roof. That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. That's why if I could pay attention to that, I'll be like, wait a minute, that was too much
Yeah.
of a reaction to what actually happened. Why? That everything I profess to believe about the human spirit, about what it looks like to have healthy community, about what integrity means, is true. It's true. You can put it to the most fiery test, and